Hello, everyone. This is Faith in Football. I'm David Burns. This is George Merida.
Hey.
He keeps waving at you, but his hand's off the screen, so you guys can't see it. Anyway, join us for prayer. Dear Lord, thank you so much, God, just for who you are. Thank you for football. Thank you for allowing George to be here with me today, God, and just be with the players as we go into playoff football, Lord, and just thank you again for all that you're doing. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
So, we're going to do a lot on predictions. We were trying to debate what can we talk about right now. There actually is something. I just thought about it right now. So, Freddie Kitchens is fired. Dorsey's gone for the Browns. Okay. So then Redskins got Ron Rivera.
Yep.
And Cowboys still haven't let go of Jason Garrett. They fired all their other coaches though, right?
Did they really?
Okay, I read that, but that's
it's possible.
That might be incorrect. So
it's totally possible I missed it. I haven't been on my phone a lot.
But they still have Jason Garrett though. Who else got fired? There was another guy. Carolina's still looking for a coach. There was another team. Jaguars are sticking with their people. And then maybe that was it. No, there's somebody else. I remember. Freddie Kitchens is fired. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. So as we're looking at the carousel of coaches, is Jason Garrett going to get fired? Who knows? Probably.
I really hope so.
Probably. I don't. It doesn't bother me at all.
It's understandable.
Ron Rivera is now with the Redskins. I think Mike McCarthy's heavily involved with the Panthers right now.
Yeah,
right?
He is.
Cleveland, I don't know who will want to be their coach. Really, just out of the ownership. Yeah, they're not loyal to their coaches. So, yeah, so just realize that there's stuff going on right now already that's going to affect the offseason. It's already started. Fun stuff. You get to look at these new offensive minds going. Yeah, all this stuff's going on. So, awesome. Now we're going to go into we're going to actually break down each game. So, it's going to be a little bit different. Usually it's all right, I'll talk about this game. This is my prediction. George will talk a little bit about it. It's his prediction. We haven't wrote our predictions down yet. We're not set and we could change our minds and nothing will happen. And we're going to just kind of talk as we want to talk. So we're going into Seattle at Philadelphia. Okay, so I'm biased here. I'm an Eagle fan. I gotta tell you something. I'm going to be very annoyed because I have a Seattle Seahawks fans as friends, Chris. And I know I'm going to hear a lot about, we're missing 3 running backs. We're missing 4. We're missing 3 wide receivers. Zach Ertz is probably gone. Our all-pro right guard is gone. Lane Johnson hopefully is back. Actually, Miles Sanders should be back, and Jordan Howard should be back. So I guess we'll have them. We've had injuries all year. Carson Wentz has made it to the playoffs. I don't care that we beat the Redskins, we beat the Cowboys, and we beat the Giants twice. I don't care that those are the teams we beat. They're not very impressive, I'll tell you that. But the fact that Carson Wentz went in and beat other NFL teams with literally next to no talent around him, it was the first time ever that a quarterback won a game with a college football quarterback as their number 1 receiver, Greg Ward, and a 6th round pick, 5'6" running back in Boston Scott as their number 1 running back, who also got Player of the Week, Week 17. First time that's ever happened. First time quarterback's ever thrown for 4,000 yards without having a single receiver to have at least 500. Carson Wentz is playing out of his mind. There's all the narratives throughout the year that he sucked this year. I watched a couple games where I'm like, You don't look that good. You know, I'm sure he had an identity crisis even throughout the year. But what gets me excited, I don't want to hear about injuries from either side. Both teams are going to have it rough, right? But what I do want to see is Russell Wilson, who's one of the most entertaining, most improvisational quarterbacks ever. Carson Wentz, who has that same potential, isn't quite polished like Russell Wilson, going head to head with a bunch of misfit toys. Seriously, they're like, you're going to see fireworks coming from the quarterback with a bunch of players that have no business being on a professional football field, and yet they're in a playoff game because they have quarterbacks that can lead them there. What's your thought process on this game?
I think that's a very fair point. The teams are both in a point of, I guess, weakness with their rosters being hurt. But they also both have two very fun, very exciting quarterbacks, and it should be a fun game to watch. I'm looking forward to seeing both Russell Wilson and Carson Wentz work with what they have, and I think that Russell Wilson has a little bit of an advantage in this scenario due to his wide receivers. He still has DK Metcalf. He still has Tyler Lockett. He still his offensive line isn't hurt at all, right? His offensive line is totally fine, I'm assuming.
Something was up with Dwayne Brown earlier. I think he's back.
Okay. Well, either way, for me, I think that it's going to come down to a battle of quarterbacks. So it pretty much comes down to which quarterback you have more faith in, and which quarterback you think will be able to rally a team behind them to pull out the win. For me, for that scenario, I think that it should be a fun one. I think that people are underrating the Eagles in this scenario. Just because they barely slipped into playoffs doesn't mean that they're not a competitive team. And I think that they're one of the scarier teams in playoffs. But I don't think that the Cinderella story will happen. My prediction is that Seattle pulls out the win.
I really regret bringing George onto the show. No, like it's Russell Wilson, dangerous. Yeah. You know, he's dangerous. Dude. I don't want to play Russ. I much rather would have played Minnesota here, to be honest. No offense to my Vikings fans. I think your team's a good team. I'd rather play Kirk Cousins than Russell Wilson.
Yep.
Russell Wilson can never be discounted. I'm clearly going to choose the Eagles here, guys. But I'm going to tell you why, though. The Eagles, after their injuries, are now on a 4-game win streak going into playoffs. They have momentum. They have a lot of momentum. Seattle is on a 2-game lose streak.
Yes.
And they're still trying to find their identity. The only reason why I'm scared of this game is because Russell Wilson's going, like, he's incredible.
Exactly.
He's amazing. That's the only reason why I'm scared of this game. Outside of that, Philadelphia proved they could play with no good players. Yes, we're playing crappy teams. Seattle played San Francisco. Great team. And barely lost. Who'd they play the week before?
I don't remember, actually.
They're on a 3-game lose streak, huh? Because they lost to the Rams, too. They got annihilated by the Rams while healthy, if I'm correct. They did, huh? Yeah. They definitely got annihilated by them. I don't know if it was while healthy. But, anyway, I think, did they lose to the Cardinals? No. Maybe. Who knows? Anyway, though, they've lost 3 of their last 4 games. I know that for sure. And they're finding their identity. I'm expecting Wilson to come out. It's in Philadelphia, though. We're good at playing with bad players. Better than we are with playing with good players. Even when we won the Super Bowl, it was with bad players. I'm taking Philadelphia here. I think we're going to have to beat Russell Wilson in a shootout. I don't think he'll score 30 points on us. I think we're going to win 31-28.
my prediction is fairly similar. I'm swapping the winner, and I would say 28-21. I think that it'll come down to a final drive by Philadelphia, and I just think that they'll come up short.
If that happens, it's a heart attack for me. Why would you put that omen on me?
I'm sorry.
Jeez!
I just think it'll be one of those kinds of games.
Philadelphia is going to have a game-winning drive and then not make it. Thanks, George.
Of course.
It's really easy for you to say, so I can't say nothing towards Chicago this week.
It's true. It's true.
All right, you start off the Minnesota at New Orleans.
Okay, so with Minnesota versus New Orleans, I think that this is a game that also should be fairly interesting. Minnesota kind of has a question mark at quarterback. He's had a pretty decent season, but Kirk Cousins is a guy to know that that is known to choke on the big stages. And has he won a playoff game in his career? No. So that's when you look at the quarterbacks alone, you're looking at Drew Brees versus Kirk Cousins, and I think the choice there is fairly clear. And then with New Orleans, their offensive line is incredible, which should help out with Minnesota's defensive front. The question, I guess, would come down to the fact that New Orleans has a tight end and a wide receiver. Not much else. They also have Alvin Kamara, of course, but
Latavius Murray's been playing well this year too.
And yeah. So they have two running backs and they have a wide receiver and a tight end. Which, in my opinion, the wide receiver is Michael Thomas, and he's proven what he can do, being the only wide receiver really on that team. And then Jared Cook's also had a fairly solid year. So when I look at the offensive pieces of New Orleans, I think that is more than enough to pick apart the Minnesota defense. And then Minnesota's offense obviously has been fairly productive. But as I said, with Kirk Cousins at quarterback, a Stephon Diggs and Thielen at wide receiver, they were both back, correct?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. They're both great wide receivers. Behind them is obviously question marks, and tight end
Dalvin Cook's out, right?
And Dalvin Cook, is he still out?
I think he's out for season, right?
Oh gosh, well, I'm pretty sure their backup running back, Alex Madison, is also out. If that's the case, that is even more of a point of weakness for Minnesota. So, long story short, for me here, the strength seems to lie with New Orleans.
Gotta tell you, New Orleans has Xavier Rhodes, and his roads have been open all season, man. Xavier Rhodes is potentially one of the worst number one corner in the league right now. That's how bad he's playing.
Yeah.
The saving grace for Minnesota is they're not playing on Monday because Kirk Cousins is 0-9 on Monday. The bad thing for Minnesota is they're playing a team that has won games, and Kirk Cousins is something like 8-49 or something, 49-1 or something against winning teams. Yeah, if I'm being honest, I'm gonna keep this short and sweet too. New Orleans, I think, is actually going to just rout the Vikings. Sorry, Brian. I know you're a fan of the show. I hope for you, it's at least a good game. And if they win, I'll be happy for you specifically, you and Ian Norris. But man, New Orleans, dude, they're going to come out for blood. It's in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Right now, I'd have more trust in Minnesota with Case Keenum than I do Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is way better than Case Keenum, but Case Keenum's not known as someone who chokes. Kirk Cousins is. But hopefully he breaks that narrative. That would be more fun for football. Just saying, it would be more fun. Because then Minnesota would go in, and if he's right on his predictions, Minnesota would go in and play Green Bay, and that'd be a divisional game. And I love divisional games in the playoffs. But yeah, I have New Orleans winning this, and I have them winning 38-17.
For me, I'll say New Orleans wins. I think it'll be slightly closer than this, or than David's prediction. I think it'll be 24-31.
So, next, I have Tennessee at New England, and there's a reason why I put this in this order. It's because I heard George say something before the game, or before the show, that made me think he might steal some of my thunder here. I am choosing an upset here. I'm choosing Tennessee to go into New England and win. And let me tell you why. If this doesn't happen, it's because New England's playing playoff football, and they're probably going to go to the Super Bowl and even beat the Baltimore Ravens. This is where I think New England is. They are either so unstoppable they'll roll through the whole playoffs, or they are so bad they won't be able to beat Tennessee. That's my true feelings here. And Tennessee's kind of on a hot streak. They dropped a little bit, but came back against the backups for Houston. But New England, you can talk about Tennessee's losing games, but New England lost to the Dolphins. Here's something interesting. What if there's a Super Bowl rematch, Philadelphia versus New England? Both of their last regular season losses would have been to the Miami Dolphins. Ooh, that'd be interesting, huh? Come on, Dolphins, you're the Super Bowl killers. If that happens, so be hoping we win. No, that's probably not going to happen. I have Tennessee winning this. I think Derrick Henry is having an amazing year. There's no think to that. He just is number one in rushing yards this year. Ryan Tannehill's been playing better. And New England, their defense is good. Don't get me wrong. Great. It all lays on Tom Brady's shoulders. That's a good person for shoulders to lay on, but, Father Time's undefeated. It's going to happen at some point. What's your thoughts?
For me, I think that David makes some very, very good points. I think that Tennessee is a very scary opponent for New England in this scenario. My one thing is that I'm going to take the safe bet here. I'm going to say that Tom Brady comes in and plays how he plays in playoffs. Because as long as the quarterback play is good, and wide receiver play for that matter, that is another issue with New England. Their wide receivers are very, very shaky at best. But as long as the quarterback plays offense, as long as the offense as a whole plays up to the defense's level, I think that New England should be able to pull off this win. The one thing with Tennessee is that, like David said, Derrick Henry's been incredible. They have A.J. Brown, who's had an awesome rookie year. Ryan Tannehill's looked great in that quarterback position. And their defense is also super underrated. So it should be, I keep saying this, but I think this will be another fun game to watch. I really do. I think that this is one where the deciding factor will be the experience of one team versus the other. And so for me, I'm going to have to settle with New England.
Do you think the secret to New England's success here, now hear me out, I just said it's all on Tom Brady's shoulders. I'm about to backpedal here. Do you think that the true secret to their success could be Sony Michel, like him having a great playoffs? Like, does New England need that? With their receivers and really receiving weapons, like Tom Brady's known for using his running backs in the playoffs. Does Sony Michel need to have like a breakout playoff season here?
I wouldn't say that he needs to, just because in the regular season he was like...
Yeah, but who did they play? Every good team they lost to, and then they added the Dolphins to it.
That is true. That is true.
They literally, outside the Buffalo Bills, lost to like every good team they played.
That is true.
Every good team.
That is a scary point. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if Sony Michel turns it up, that would be great.
Tom Brady completely skunks it. Do you think he retires?
I think
Or do you think
I think he
comes
could be a
back
surprise
mad?
to okay, this is weird, but I think he could actually potentially end up on a different team.
He's 42, man.
I know. It's Tom Brady. Like, I understand, but
He's going to get hired by the retirement home, man.
hey, I don't know, man. We'll see. Only time will tell.
Yep. If he does, he does. That's sad, though, because I don't think he'll win anything on other teams. He'll win games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's a good quarterback, but he won't be Super Bowl champ on other teams at 42.
I don't think so either.
I have Tennessee winning this 20-13. 20-17.
I'll go New England. I'll say 24-14.
All right. Buffalo at Houston. Start it off, George.
Okay. Well, Buffalo has been, for me, one of my favorite teams to watch this year. I think Josh Allen's been an awesome quarterback. Obviously, he's Josh Allen. He's made like a lot of throws where it's just kind of like, that's incredibly dumb. Like that's one thing to deal with as Josh Allen grows into the position. But I think that defense is where it's like very, very special, very underrated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think that as long as the offense plays Devin Singletary, if he can get going, that would be great. Josh Allen needs to he needs to not make dumb throws. That's the one thing. Like, if Josh Allen could avoid making just throws where you question his football intelligence, he has the potential. He has possibly the most potential in the league to be like a great quarterback because he has the athleticism, the strength, the speed, the arm talent. He just needs to put everything together.
So he's Patrick Mahomes without the brain.
And with more speed.
Yeah, okay.
And more strength. Like, he's incredible traits wise. And yeah, he's missing the brain. So, on Houston's side, you have Deshaun Watson, who I think is also, he's an incredible young quarterback in the league. You have DeAndre Hopkins. Is Will Fuller healthy right now? I actually have no idea.
I think he is.
Well, if Will Fuller is healthy, he's a decent deep threat.
Kenny Stills, too.
And Kenny Stills, yeah. Running back, they have Lamar Miller. No, he's hurt.
Duke Johnson and Carlos Hyde.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Lamar Miller hasn't played this year.
Yeah, I remember. I forgot. But anyways, they have Duke Johnson. They have Carlos Hyde. Carlos Hyde was good 3 years ago. He's had a decent year this year, actually, as well. And then...
Sorry, go ahead.
Wait, no, say it.
No, it's for the next week. I was
okay.
Is JJ Watt coming back?
Oh, okay.
He might come back next week.
Gotcha. How has their defense been this year? It's like just very
It's just mediocre.
But they do have new corners, somewhat new.
Yeah.
And their pass defense has improved since adding them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something to keep an eye on. For me, I honestly, this game is kind of a big question mark for me because I think Houston really did not impress me at the end of the year. If I'm being honest, like,
did the Bills lost to the Patriots and then the Jets?
Yeah, I don't know. This game's
it's hard. They're
this
so
is a
even.
weird one. This is a very, very weird game.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
They are so even. Both teams are so. Part of me wants Buffalo to win because at the beginning of the season, before in off season, I'm like, I really think Buffalo might be good this year, like really good. I predicted 11-5, which was stupid prediction, and they went 10-6 and would have went 11-5 if they could beat the terrible Jets. Anyway, my question is this: playoff atmosphere, Josh Allen versus Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson dominated in college playoffs.
Yeah.
He's been in that atmosphere. He was in it last year, I believe. Did they win a single game I believe, did they lose to the Patriots last year? I don't know. They didn't win the Super Bowl last year, so it really doesn't matter. I think, here's where I go. Offense, Josh Allen, Deshaun Watson. I'm going Watson.
Mm-hmm.
Receivers, DeAndre Hopkins, Will Fuller, and Kenny Stills versus John Brown, Cole Beasley, and somebody else. I'm going DeAndre Hopkins in them. Tight ends, Buffalo's tight end and Houston's tight end. Who are they?
Darren Fells for Houston and Dawson Knox for Buffalo.
Scratch. I don't know and I don't care. O-line, I think Buffalo has a better overall O-line. I do like Laramie Tunsil a lot for Houston. Thought that was a good play, by the way.
Yeah.
So Houston dominates offensively.
Mm-hmm.
Dominates.
Mm-hmm.
Defensively, but Bills dominate.
Yeah.
Corners dominate. Safeties, I do like Houston's young safety from last year. Is it Reed?
Justin Reed.
Yeah, Justin Reed. I do like him. They do still have Jonathan Joseph. I do like him. I like Bradley Roby. Vernon Hargraves has gotten better with them. And who was that other corner we said? Garyon Conley? He's with the Texans?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's with the Texans.
So they have some new secondary, but the Bills have Tre'Davious White, Jordan Poyer, Micah
Levi
Hyde.
Wallace has been pretty solid.
Okay. So there's just that. Bills also schematically are so good. Since you brought up Lamar Miller, I want to say maybe Mario Williams will come back. Have a breakout game. I'm sorry. But I really think this game is a toss-up, and I'm gonna go with J.J. Watt's not there, and I believe the Bills have more to neutralize a quarterback, but I'm gonna go with the better quarterback. I'm gonna go with Deshaun Watson, and it's in Houston. I think if he has ice in his blood, I think Houston wins this, but I think they win it like 14-10, like really low scoring, maybe even 14-13. What about you? Final score?
Oh gosh. Okay. I think that I'm just gonna keep it interesting. I'm go the opposite of David here. I'll say that Buffalo pulls out the victory, also in a close one. For that to happen, man, that defense really needs to play to their full potential to shut down Deshaun Watson, because even Tre'Davious White matched up on DeAndre Hopkins, it's DeAndre Hopkins. No matter how good of a corner you are, it's hard to fully shut him down.
I miss having Jacob here to talk about Denard Hopkins. I love you, Jacob. I love you.
So for me, I'll say Buffalo wins it. Man, I'll say like 10-7. Buffalo wins it 10-7. It'll be a very boring game.
If Deshaun Watson scored... Okay, right now, this is my final thought of the week. Deshaun Watson right now, outside Carson Wentz, is my favorite young quarterback. By far. If he only scores 7 points at home in a playoff game, he drops off of that. He goes way down the list. I'm saying Mahomes passes him up. Lamar Jackson passes him up. Sam Darnold passes him up because he at least beat the Bills.
What I will
he
say...
scores 7 points. He is out.
What I will say is that probably won't happen. I'm throwing something out there because Deshaun Watson is obviously, like, in college playoffs, he was incredible. And I think that he's just kind of a big stage player. But I think it'll happen. I'm going with it.
I want Watson to win so we could have a Lamar Jackson versus Deshaun Watson rematch of Louisville versus Clemson in the playoffs. I really want that. I want to see... People talk so high about Lamar Jackson. I want to see him beat Deshaun Watson And then I want to see him either beat Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
If he beats those guys and then goes to the Super Bowl and beats Drew Brees, Carson Wentz, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, I'm not going to say Kirk Cousins or Jimmy G.
Yeah.
But if he beats Minnesota's defense or the San Francisco defense, then I'm not going to argue anymore. Like, even if he never has another winning season, I do think Lamar Jackson's dominating, best player this year, deserving of MVP. I have doubts of him in the future, but of right now, I want to see Lamar Jackson go through the gauntlet. So anyway, thank you guys so much for joining us. If you have any comments, leave one. Like us, share us, subscribe, all of those things. Thank you so much.
Thank
Goodbye.
you.